My name is Tic, known as OG Tic now because there's been a few ticks behind me. I'm the regional president of the L.A. Scorpions. Our club started in 1962. I'm one of the co-founders of the L.A. chapter.
Lord have mercy. I can't get ahead no way I try. Everything is out of pocket. Somebody do something. The present situation is abstract. Listen.
And where did you grow up? Where are you from,
I grew up here in Los Angeles, 77th and McKinley. I grew up in the time when the Crips started, really. Raymond Washington is my first cousin, and everybody knows he started this. It wasn't my thing, so I really didn't get into it. I didn't condone it for what it turned into.
Was when it began, was it supposed to be what it turned into?
No. When it began, we came up in an era where Caucasians, white boys, however you want to put it, would come into neighborhood and terrorize, right? So it started to keep that from happening. It escalated into something different that Raymond never would have fathomed it would turn into.
So it went from a protection or group or organization to it turned into each other.
Yeah, basically.
All right. And tell us a little bit about like the era about that time. What was going on in that time, man? Aside from the beginning of the Crips and Bloods as we know it, what else was going on? Like what else was happening, man? Was low riding happening? Was
Low riding was happening, yes. Low riding technology has escalated with low riding. And Sam, you're making me smile because this telling my age. But back in our day, there were Adels and Pescos. At the most, you had 2 batteries. It was about laying and playing in my day. This hopping and all of that. If you got 24 inches off the ground, you was the man back then. They had a guy that had a 47, 48 Chevy named Zion that, got it up, all 4 wheels, and he was the man back then. But we talking in the 60s, the early 70s. We had scrape bars, and that was our thing. Now you guys jumping to the moon, wrapping frame, got 900 batteries in the trunk. It's amazing.
and where was at what point did you transition from the cars into the bikes?
Again, you're making me tell my age, but 1969 is when I transitioned. Lowriding was going into a different era, and I wanted the freedom. So my neighbor had a 69 750 Honda, and he let me ride it. And after that, I was sprung.
What was your first bike?
My first bike was a 250 Honda I built out of the recycler in my living room.
And you thought you was the man or what?
No, actually, I rode it around and it felt like I was riding on a moped. And one day, I rode by a club, and they had the big bikes, right? So I'm like, I gotta get me a big bike. So I bought a 550 Suzuki. Back then, you mix the oil and the gas together, and when you first start that motorcycle up, it would smoke like it had bad rings. And then after it warmed up, it would clear up, and it was okay, but it wasn't what they were riding. So after that, I transitioned. I went down to a place back in the day called Bill Cross Honda, and I bought me a 750 Honda.
Was it a specific person that kind of guided you or took you under their wing on this motorcycle stuff?
Not a particular person. It was a group of people that guided me in this sort of thing. One of the major influences for me was a cat from the Chosen Few named Uncle Emmett. You know, I tried to pattern myself after him. Uncle Emmett had respect. He was cool. He was just Rico Suave, so to speak, you know. And he was the man out on the set. And I was like, I like the respect that he gets. So he was one of my mentors. Another guy, Mike Nez, our international nigga, as they called him, from the Persuaders. He was another influence for me. Pee Wee, I'm a name drop, you know. Pee Wee from the DOs was another one of my mentors that took me under their wings. Because back in our day, you're a youngster, you rambunctious, you're rebellious, and so on and so forth, right? If you were willing to learn, they were willing to teach. If you were like this new generation, you can't tell me nothing, they push you to the side. Well, these guys took me up under their wings, you know. A few more I could mention, I could not go on and on. You know, took me under their wings and taught me the old school way, which is the only way. And I just incorporated it into my club and this younger part of my club, and it's working for them, and now they see.
You and I are connected through somebody, which is my woman Adrian, which is like she's your daughter, you know, and we're connected through her to someone else, which is her grandfather, was also an elder from the set. You know, what do you have to say about him? You know,
Buzzy, Mr. Baloo. Sam, I should have known you was gonna do this to me. Me and Buzzy go way back to when Buzzy was a brother of the sun. You know, again, this telling my age. I've been around this set over 40 years. And Buzzy was a brother of the sun. I don't remember exactly who Buzzy worked for, but Buzzy was a working guy, rode with the Brothers Sons, and then they had a riff, whatever it was, and Buzzy decided to start the Rare Breed. As I remember, it was Buzzy, KW, Preston. Preston was a brother's son also, and a few other cats, but you know, I didn't have one in my morning blunt, so I'm not gonna be able to go into all the detail, but yeah, those were the cats that started the Rare Breed. Buzzy rode Hondas, choppers. Buzzy rode it all. He was a legend out there, you know, for riding, you know. And that's what I remember Buzzy by, a solid cat that was a legend for out there riding.
what do you think about the set now in comparisons to how it was when you were coming up and when you were in your prime? That era, your beginning, your prime, and today. What do you think the comparisons is?
There are no comparisons to when I came up, when I started, to now. There can be no comparisons besides the fact that guys are riding motorcycles. I may be crucified for this, but here in L.A., the set has become something other than what it was initiated for. I mean, there's gangbanging on the set and you know, and this, I'm a man and you can't talk to, you can't teach, and you can't learn. And in my day, it wasn't like that. The set back in my day and what helped me get started with this set was I met a group of guys, you know, sort of like I'm getting my bike serviced at a place. I meet this guy. His name is Terrible T. He's Magic Wheel now, but he was in our club, and he had a flashing T. Back in those days, you know, you didn't run up on no motorcycle ride and get to asking no questions or nothing like that, right? But he asked us, did we ride? And we said no. And he was like, well, we going to Fresno. And, you know, nah, I ain't with that raping and pillaging and what. He like, that's that TV stuff. He like, we don't get down like that. And I like, hey, well, you know, I'm trying to make excuses to get out of this because I'm still looking at this TV stuff. And I'm like, well, I ain't got no money. He's like, look, bro, when we eat, you eat. When we sleep, you sleep. When we drink, you drink. When we smoke, you smoke. I told my buddy, I'm like, okay, we're going to get our straps and we're going to go with these guys. And if it ain't right, Fresno ain't that far, we can ride back. I went up there and had the time of my life. I really had the time of my life, and it became a part of my life. In fact, I can honestly say this is a joke, but I spent more years in this club than I have on the job.
Considering the fact that you had a lot of other clubs out here to choose from, how did you end up being a Scorpion?
When I came up, it was clubs like the Lions, which are ancient clubs, Buccaneers, Persuaders, Wanderers, Embryos, a lot of clubs that are not here now, you know, and my thing was I wanted to be a part of something that felt like a family thing, you know. I didn't want to be a part of something that felt like a gang or some of the sort. And when I took that ride up to Fresno, you know, they were trying to start a L.A. chapter of the Scorpions. And so, like I said, I went up there, I had a great time. It was a brotherhood, it was a camaraderie, and I decided, okay, I'll join this, right? And then my initial maiden run was to meet our mother chapter up in Richmond, California. And again, I had the time of my life. And after that, I've been a Scorpion for life.
What year did you become the president?
1988.
How do you feel about being the president from when you became the president till today?
When I became the president in '88, the set was changing, you know, and being the president, you have to deal with each and every last one of your members' personalities. And that can be a job. You know, you have an obligation to participate and do things, and it's a job. And if you get the right set of guys that know the old school way and follow the old school way and what's taught to them, then it doesn't become a job, it becomes fun because everything is delegated and moves like an organization, like a business. Nowadays, these new cats want to slide, they want to, you know, pop willies, and you didn't do that in front of somebody's clubhouse. That was disrespectful back in the days, you know, and you would get checked about it. Well, now you can't check these youngsters, you might lose your life. And a lot of the OGs, when we talk, we say that, you know. The set has changed, you know, it's become a thing that we're not accustomed to, you know, and the guys say, you can't talk to these guys, you can't teach these guys nothing, you know. And I'm not saying all of them, because there are some of the younger cats that I vibe with, you know, that willing to soak up knowledge, and there's some cats, you know, I just don't deal with because, you know, your train of thought.
Amongst you and your peers on the set, from the set, what do you guys do now? You guys let the set go to where it's going and pull back? what do you do as an elder at this point? Because you guys could have influence, or you guys can just let go and let it run to the next phase, which is wherever that may be. What do you do as an elder amongst your peers, man?
It's already in the next phase. You know, people that come after me, but before this new generation, say it's not the same. But the people who come before me don't know the fun then. They'll never know the fun. Your reputation came about pounding, riding. It wasn't about how pretty your motorcycle was, how much money you got, or how many women you have. It was about how many miles you got. That's what it was about.
You was the man with the miles, huh?
I got my miles in, that's for darn sure, you know. I can't say I got liquor store miles in, because, yeah, I've been cross country on my bike, you know. I put my miles in. Back in the day when I was a youngster, and I get with the elders, because I learned to be with the elders because they told stories which taught. You know, that's the way they taught, you know. These new guys, now you try to tell a story, it's nothing they want to talk about, so they're not getting the history. But back in the day, I used to sit around the elders and and listen to the stories and think, man, yeah, right, that kind of stuff didn't happen. And then once I got into it, and now that I'm an elder, and I look back and it's like, yeah, that kind of stuff do happen. I have stories now that, you know, I tell my club and other people, and they be like, wow, you know. Yeah, we had a lot of fun then. It was about pounding. It wasn't about how cute your motorcycle was. Long as it didn't break down and it would get you from point A to point B and we didn't have to wait for you, let's pound that ground. One of my president, bad company when we started, he had an ingenious way. Most of my members when we started were older cats and had been in the military, right? And me as a younger cat, I wasn't the exact youngest, but I was pretty young, you know. Coming in the club, we had a meeting and we were supposed to go to the dance at 9 o'clock, right? And my company president, bad company, said, we're going there. It was military time, right? And he said, oh, something other, or whatever he said. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell is that? And they're like, you been in the military, ain't you? I'm like, yeah, to watch rides. And they were like laughing and, you know, joking. So I had to learn military time, but he ran the club sort of like the military was. And because all of them being in the military, it worked real, real good, you know. But in the same token, as time changed, procedures change, things change. Things have to be amended, things have to be. But this new way now, the sliding, you know, all of that, you know, I don't know. It's just not my thing anymore, I guess, being an elder. Because I done seen what this pavement do. It ain't never lost a fight to but one thing, and that's a jackhammer. And I know this, so with that being said...
You tried it a couple times, huh?
Yeah, you know, I done been pink a few times, you know, yeah. You know, I can remember back in the day, in my younger days, when I rode Rice Strikers, right? There was these two guys that thought they had the hottest Harleys in the world. It was Dirty Old Man and Bus Driver. It was so long ago you could get on the Harbor Freeway at Century then. It was the Century on ramp. But I got a Suzuki. We supposed to meet there at 12 o'clock. I'm there at 12 o'clock. They not there. 12:15, I strike out. We're going to San Diego. I'm flying, going to San Diego. I'm mad. You know, we supposed to race. All of a sudden, I see these two motorcycles. I look over to the side, this Dirty Old Man and Bus Driver, right? And when I turn back around, the car in front of me has stopped. I was like, oh my Lord. I hit brakes, you know, I'm an experienced rider, right? I hit brakes. The car took off and my front tire just barely bumped it. I went over the handlebars. I did the prettiest front flip you ever would have seen and landed on my feet and watched my motorcycle slide by me.
Your handlebars is crooked. Highway patrol didn't pull you over.
Didn't see the highway patrol.
How is that possible, man, to ride the bike like that?
You adapt. You adapt. I mean, you know.
You far from San Diego? You far from home?
I was maybe 10 miles out from San Diego. I was a long way from home. And to make a long story short, we got to San Diego because bus driver and them rode in with me. Got the handlebars fixed because all I did was bent the handlebars. Got the handlebars fixed, but I didn't know I had fractured my foot. So when I took my boot off, foot swelled up. Like I said, an era tough guy, trying to prove you're a tough guy. I went to the dance in pain. Got up that morning, rode back to L.A., went to the doctor, he's like, your foot is fractured in 3 places. Like that.
And that was considered honorable bikers back in your era. Like, the more tough, the more pain you could sustain.
Yeah. One of my guys that I admired was a guy named Rockin' Robin. He was 70 years old, and he was still out there pounding that pavement on his dresser, right? And I always said, for him to be pounding the pavement as long as he has, he's bad. We had a talk one day, and I said, Rockin' Robin, you 70 years old. You can tell everybody like they told me when I was a new booty. I got more miles backing up to the curb than you got going forward. You know, he say, I do this because I love this. He like, I'm gonna ride until I can't ride no more. That was the era I came from.
Where do you want to see your club after you are passed on? Because you're holding on because you're trying to keep it together in a certain way, but what happens after? What would you like to see it become?
Being around as long as I've been around and seeing as much as I've seen, I'm kind of in a mixture. Clubs like the DOs, the Dragons, you know, those are clubs that have one chapter and have grown and so on and so forth. And then there are clubs like the Rare Breed, the Chosen Few, the Undisputed. They got chapters all over the United States. You know, my club is a family club. You know, and yeah, I got family in Oklahoma and other places, but, you know, right here we're a tight-knit family. So The club started in California, incorporated in California, and when I'm gone, I just want it to go on however it goes on. If it grows to be that, okay, it grows to be that, but just long as it's a tight-knit family thing and everybody keep it old school, that's my dream.
Are you ever going to be ready to let it go?
I'm gonna be ready to let it go when I'm sure that my club has what this club was founded on and built on. As soon as I know that they got that and have that concept, which they're there almost now, right? And after I put in, I said I was gonna be a scorpion for life, and I will. I got it tattooed on my chest to prove that I'm gonna be a scorpion for life. But I'm getting at the age that I'm gonna ride until I can't ride no more, but I've had my bumps and bruises, and I'm still gonna ride until I can't ride no more, and I'm still gonna rep them scorpions until I can't rep no more, but pretty soon I'm gonna have to retire. Overall, I've had my ups, my downs, but being that basically I'm an only child, the motorcycle set has been my family. You know, like you in a gang, you know, your people in your hood is your family. Well, the motorcycle set is my family. You know, I forgot to mention someone that mentored me, came up, and been around the set for a long time. Name is Hero Benson, aka the Masked Man, Chosen Few. You know, he got a page on the set. Y'all go see that page, cause the brother spits that old school stuff, and he keeps it real and 100. You know, I wanted to give a shout out to him. I want to give a shout out to rest in peace, Toby Jean, East Bay Dragons presidents until death. I'll give a shout out to Phil Baker, Pee Wee, all of those that have went on before me. Thank